so nervous right now. I want to just reiterate the thanks that Drew gave to all of the sponsors and the volunteers, and I also want to thank my family who's here, and all of you guys who are taking time out of your morning to be here. I know that you all have busy schedules, so here we go. So I'm Colleen. I also go by the moniker Second Truth, and I am a photographer. And today's theme of Restart is actually really fitting because a couple months ago, my partner James and I moved to San Francisco. And I'm gonna today just talk about like 3 common obstacles that I came across when I first started Second Truth 5 years ago, and turns out that these are obstacles that are showing up again now that we're living in the most expensive city, where the average 1-bedroom apartment, which is maybe 650 square feet, is $3,500. Just let that sink in. So it's expensive. And along with those obstacles, just a couple tools that proved to be helpful 5 years ago and are proving to be helpful now. So hopefully those will be helpful to you in whatever kind of restart you are finding yourself in currently or on the horizon. So let's get going. So if I asked you where you thought the richest places in the world are, where would you say? Maybe you'd say someplace like this, like a castle or in a mansion. Maybe you would say somewhere like an ancient city that has a lot of culture and history. Maybe you would say a place of beauty, like museums or places of art. Or maybe you would say someplace that is untouched by industrialization. But how many of you maybe think cemeteries or graveyards? Anybody? Is that on anybody's list? One, maybe another. So in his book, Die Empty, Todd Henry says that the richest places in the world are cemeteries because people die with so much still left inside of them. That book they wanted to write, that play they wanted to create, those places they wanted to see unseen. And so even though restarts can be overwhelming, I like to apply that framework of dying empty as a way to have a second chance at starting over, a second chance at doing things differently, and ultimately a second chance at dying empty. So today will be a success if you walk out of here today and you feel a little bit more energized, a little bit more empowered, and a little bit more equipped to handle whatever restart you find yourself in. And my ultimate hope for all of you is that you find a way to die empty as well. So, sorry, I'm like multitasking here. So we're gonna go over 3 challenges, but I wanted to do a little backstory here for you. So this is did it go through? So there's a photo of me graduating from college with my mom, and I graduated from the U of M with a degree in environmental science and wasn't doing anything with it. And the extent of my photography experience was this MySpace selfie on the right and moshing in my best friend Susie's garage, and Joel, who won the first prize, was there for all of that part of my life. So that's future Second Truth right there. So I knew when I graduated from college, I had not 1, not 2, but 0 job opportunities in environmental science. So thankfully, I'm just gonna like off-road with this. Thankfully, my uncle owns a martial arts gym in Brooklyn Center called The Academy, and he was like, you should come work for me until you figure it out. So I started working at their front desk and then moved into teaching a women-only boot camp. And even though I was feeling like super inspired and felt like I was inspiring people and helping them improve their lives, I was feeling like something was missing. My roommate at the time, Sarah Blesner, I don't know if any of you know her, she's now like an award-winning photographer in New York. She was like, I need a second shooter for weddings. I will teach you everything I know if you commit to shooting weddings with me. And I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. So I started shooting weddings with her and realized, like, damn, maybe this is like my thing. You know, I didn't grow up being creative. I cannot sing. I am a shit drawer. I can't play an instrument. So I felt like, yeah, this doesn't involve any of that. This might be good. So I started shooting weddings with her, and I started experimenting. And these are some of the first portraits that I shot when I first started. Like I said, maybe, I don't know how many slides back. MySpace selfie. We got a delay. Sorry, there's a lag. I won't go back anymore. To that. And that's literally like no photography classes, literally taking what Sarah had taught me in terms of like technical stuff and just like throwing some shit on the wall to see what sticks. So fast forward 5 years, I've been able to do some work with some really amazing people here in the city, some work that's ended up on Goop, Nike, Harper's Bazaar, but all of this wasn't just by myself. I was able to get to this point with amazing people like my best friend Judith, who is a stylist and art director. She's sitting right here. Wave your hand, Judith. Say hi to everybody. It's also been with the help of people like Kate Ahrens, who was in the first slide. She has been a major like mentor, and she's one of the first people that believed in me when I first started, and has opened up a lot of opportunities for me to shoot some of the stuff that Judith and I have been able to shoot together. I've worked with Hackwith, Minnie and Paul, like a lot of the businesses that are here today and just in the creative community. So I want you all to know that like any kind of success that I've had has not just been alone. It's been with the help of everybody who's ever believed in me or hired me or collaborated with me. So remember that when you are building something or trying to start over. So the first thing that you have to conquer is fear. And fear sounds like, well, fear at its core is an evolutionary mechanism designed to protect you from harm, pain, and in the worst case, death. But it's also, something that we have this really strange relationship with. We stay in bad relationships because we're more afraid of being alone. We stay at jobs we hate because we're more afraid of doing the thing that we actually want to do. And we do things that we don't really want to do to impress people we don't actually like because we're afraid of being unlikable. And a lot of times it sounds like, who's going to believe me? Who's going to hire me? What if I don't make money? What if I suck? How many of you have had some kind of feeling like that? Raise your hand. Okay, almost everybody. So I just want you to know when you're feeling those things, you're not alone. You're not experiencing those things by yourself. So, and I felt all of those things and more, and I'm currently feeling those things in San Francisco because I'm nobody in San Francisco. So the first, I don't want to add a slide. Okay. So the first thing that you got to get over is the myth of fear. And the myth of fear is that in order to kill fear, you have to become fearless. And that is not true. Forget that right now. You do not have to become fearless to kill fear. What you have to do actually is to find something that you're more afraid of and use that to leverage getting over whatever it is that you're currently afraid of. When I first started Second Truth, I was afraid that nobody's gonna hire me. I'm not a creative, I'm not a photographer, I'm self-taught. And now in San Francisco, it's the same thing. I'm gonna, leave. That's how I was feeling on the inside, actually. This is James, my partner. I was excited on the outside, but I was really afraid on the inside, to be honest. What I realized is if dying empty is something that I aspired to do, then how did moving to San Francisco versus staying here play into that? And I knew that the risk that I was taking by leaving a beautiful home here in Minneapolis that By Shishi did this awesome installation in, by leaving my studio mates and a beautiful studio. Steph's here today. Steph, where are you? Right there. That's her. Leaving our dog to stay with James's parents, which we also call camp. And Judith and I, all my friends here, we were going to leave all of this to live in this apartment. This is literally all we had when we moved to San Francisco. I'm not lying. What you don't see here is an air mattress in our suitcases. So I was gonna leave all of that to just see what opportunities might be in San Francisco. And I knew that if we didn't go here, that we would regret it, and that we would never know what this experience would be like. So the fear of not at least trying was greater than the fear of leaving the safety of Minneapolis, and that's how we moved forward. A guy by the name of Jeff Bezos, anybody know Jeff Bezos? Yeah, he started a small company called Amazon. He does this same, uses this same framework. He left a hedge fund manager job making more money than probably any of us will ever make, because he knew that if he didn't participate in this thing called the internet, he would regret it. And he had no experience in selling books online. That's what Amazon started out as. And he's now worth $150 billion. And that didn't happen overnight. You know, it took a lot of time. He started Amazon in 1994. So just remember Jeff when you're thinking about starting something, or starting over rather. So the next thing that you're gonna have to get over is inconsistency. And inconsistency is like, maybe tomorrow, maybe when I have more time, maybe when the kids are asleep, maybe when I have more money, maybe when I have a different job. How many of you have experienced something like that? Anybody? Yes, okay, still more people. So, oh my God, I'm really fast forwarding here. So James moved to San Francisco ahead of me at the end of June, and in between June and now, I've been like shooting weddings, I've been editing, I've been going back and forth every 2 weeks. So I was hella inconsistent. You know, it's really hard to like have your brain in two places at one time. So what I found to be helpful when I started Second Truth and I was trying to get organized, and now again in this restart in San Francisco, is something called the Kaizen Method, and it's also known as the 1% better method. And basically the idea is that you have to find something that you create consistency through this incremental action every single day consistently. So if you're a writer and you want to write a book, or you've started a book and you have gotten distracted, find one thing that you can do every single day for like a year or 6 months or whatever your time frame is, and do that thing consistently. If it's 5 minutes a day, just throw some shit on the paper and that can be your thing. Because at the end of that time, you'll have, let's say you do it for a year, you'll have 365 pieces of work that you didn't have before. For me in San Francisco, it's been, what can I do every single day on the plane or in between stuff to push me forward into starting over there? You know, we knew one person when we moved to San Francisco, Kobe, and she's the one that gave us that furniture in the apartment that you saw, because we didn't even have, that furniture doesn't even belong to us. So it's sending emails, it's connecting to people that you want to be connected to, it's building a network if you don't have one yet, it's learning, it's reading, it's finding whatever applies to you to help you move forward. So this is Forrest Middleton. He's a ceramic artist in Petaluma. I'm working on a book with him. And the reason why I got this opportunity is because I'm working on a book with John Whipley, the Minnesota Spoon, on his second cookbook. And I just kind of candidly was talking to the editor about the book, about John's book, and I was like, any chance you got anybody in California that needs a photographer? And he was like, actually, yeah, we've been looking for somebody for like months. Are you moving? I was like, yes, next month actually. So it's just a testament to like, talk to people, tell people about what you're doing, what you want to do, and chances are the more people you tell, the more that people know, hey, I know somebody who's looking for that, or hey, I know somebody who can help you. So try to be consistent. The last thing you're going to face, and not the last, but the last in the talk today, is impatience. And impatience sounds like, Colleen, I'm over the fear, and I'm hella consistent, and I'm doing all the things, but nothing's happening. Is anybody here in dealing with this right now? Yes, I saw one hand, couple hands. Okay, so, got to see my notes. This is very much like fear, where you have to find ways, it's not that you have to find ways to be more patient, it's like, how do I find actual action steps that I can do? And Bruce Lee, a famous martial artist, said, in life, you have to adapt what's useful, you have to reject what's useless, and you have to add what's specifically your own. And for me, I am a Gemini. I'm more impatient than a kid in a line at Valley Fair. Like, you cannot tell me be more patient, because I'm like, now? Are we there yet? Okay, how about now? So for me, like, I need action steps to like get through, when shit's not working. So with the adapt part of getting organized or whatever, it's looking at what's worked in the past. And for me in Minneapolis, what's worked is like leveraging my network and talking to people and telling people, what am I doing? Do you know anybody who can help me? It's like, does going into stores and asking for business work? Okay, great, it does, or no, it doesn't. In San Francisco, that does not work. People think you're weird. People think like, do we need to call somebody? Like, are you a little who knows? I don't know. That works here in Minneapolis, by the way. One of the first companies that gave me a job was Truce, because I walked in there and I said, this is who I am. I had like my mom's Louis Vuitton bag because I thought that would like make me more professional. I was like, it's not borrowed, I bought it, don't worry about it. So that works here because people think you're great, and that does not work in San Francisco. So I've had to learn what works for me in San Francisco, and then I've had to reject what doesn't work, which is hard because you want to try everything, but really, some things just don't work. So if you're in this process, like, it's okay to just say, this isn't working, which leads to the next thing, which Bruce Lee says is, adapt what's specifically your own, but I'm calling it carte blanche. This is Brother Ali. And when Sky told me, hey, do you want to shoot portraits of Brother Ali? I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I think I'm busy. But like, I ended up doing it because I was like scared shitless. And he was like, so, we can't do it, where it's really sunny, or, we can't really do like lights because his eyes are very sensitive. So I was like, shit, okay. How do I do that? So I had to like find something that was, I had to get creative. I had to experiment in a space that was like foreign to me. So if you're finding yourself being impatient, it's a really good time for you to reassess, go through what you're doing with a fine-tooth comb, and figure out what's working, what's not, experiment, and start over. Like, there's no such thing as like waiting for stuff to happen, because you're gonna be waiting forever. So being impatient isn't helpful to you. What is helpful is to like reiterate and experiment. So I think I flew by. How long have I been talking? I'm like, whew. When I practiced, I was like, oh my God, 25 minutes, I need to cut this down. So if you have your phone or something to write on, I want you to write this down, and I want you to make a list of, before I die, I want to blank. I want to finish that book. I want to leave that toxic relationship. I want to move to that city. I want to start a business. I want to, whatever it is, however dying empty applies to you, I want you to write it down, and I want you to start thinking about, how am I going to get over my fear? How am I going to get over my inconsistency? And how am I going to get over my impatience? Because my hope for you is really to join me and join the people who have read Todd's book and all of the other books, so that you can die empty as well. Because I think that every one of you has something really special and unique inside of you that the world, and world can mean like just in Minneapolis. It doesn't have to be like internationally, but that whatever your world is, that you're sharing those things with it. And that's it. So I have some suggested reading. There's a link in my Instagram profile to this link of suggested reading, and all of the books that are on there have been super influential to this talk, but also to just my overall perspective, because these are all things that helped me start Second Truth, but just also has made the transition to San Francisco just a little bit easier. I'm not saying that like it's great and work is just like overflowing in San Francisco right now. Like I'm currently in the middle of the like inconsistency and impatience part, because it's hard. Living in two places is a hard thing to do. So I'm right there with you. I'm super available on social media. So if you have questions about this, if you want more information or you want more depth, like please feel free to reach out to me. I'm super accessible. And thank you so much for listening. And I go down.